Hello and welcome to Papa Bear Gaming, where the salmon lager's always on tap, and instead of having a man cave, we just have a cave. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be discussing a game about the great cannoli shortage in '81, where one brave Italian from New York decided to beat up everyone in his search for the last great tasty cannoli. To protect the ears of children, we will be censoring all the language used by this hungry Italian, which is deemed no longer appropriate for adults, let alone kids. This game is called Urban Champion, released on the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1984 in Japan and 1986 in the US. Not much of a story unfolds while you play the game, so let's find out what story is being pitched on the back of the box to entice new players. Are you tough enough to take on the baddest guys on the block? Think you are tough, huh? Well, you better be, because you've got to be quick on your feet and fast with your hands to become the next urban champion. You've got to block, fake, land punches that will knock your opponent off the screen. Do that 3 times. There will be a confetti celebration in your honor as you become the new urban champion. But watch out! Just when you think you've beat him to the punch, you fall into an open manhole or get hit by a falling flower pot. Think you can handle the action? Then prove it! Play by yourself or challenge a friend. Either way, you'll have a knockout time defeating the toughest guys in the neighborhood in Urban Champion. Not much more than that on the back of the box. I guess the whole story revolves around the character just running around and beating up everyone else to become the Urban Champion. Hey, back in my day when I was a baby cub, this was one of my favorite games. Well, I guess kids that grew up in the 80s didn't really need much in terms of a story. I mean, just look at some of the movies and TV shows that we used to watch. Mannequin, Alf, Weird Science. Most of them made 0 sense, and definitely not plausible in the real world. It's definitely not like the movies of today, when a studio will pour millions of dollars into creating the greatest, most intricate story, great special effects, sound design, costumes, anything you could think of, and then the reviews that are coming out on a specific movie can be just boiled down to the plot sucks, story doesn't make sense. It's almost as if these reviewers never watched movies from the 80s, 70s, even the early 90s. There's a lot of those popular movies made no sense whatsoever. Hey, but now don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking these movies and shows. I enjoyed them as much as anyone. But I'm just saying that back in the 80s, no one overanalyzed movies and just enjoyed them without giving a second thought to the plot or characters. I mean, come on. Mannequins coming to life, 2 geeky teens create a human being, or then an alien lands in somebody's garage and just starts living with the family. No one is worried about this new biological life form and what kind of disease or dangerous objects it might have brought with it. No one's talking about the efficacy of it. The family just says, hey, what could go wrong? But I digress. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited about this game now. I want to play it. For those of you that don't know, you must be wondering, oh, is it like Knockout Kings? Is it like Ready to Rumble? Is it like Wii Boxing or maybe Fight Night Champion? Who knows? There's only one way to find out. But I wouldn't get my hopes too high. This is an 8-bit game after all. The game features 2 fighters standing on opposite sides of the sidewalk, ready to duke it out in a manner befitting 1980s thugs. Just using fists, no kicking, and limiting punches to only the face and the gut. Nothing below the belt. Real respectable if you ask me. Once the game starts, you walk towards your opponent and try to punch him into the next block. After you get to the 3rd block, you will see that there is a manhole on the opponent's side of the street. And if you successfully punch him all the way down to that manhole, he falls right into it. Now, I don't know who is to blame here, the city for having so many open manholes, or the fighter who brazenly just throws opponents down manholes. Sure, it might not take the person out, but damn near close. If the opponent knocks you to the previous block 3 times, then he has the opportunity to throw you down the manhole and give you a taste of your own medicine. After that, the game ends. In typical NES fashion, the game has you beat a multitude of enemies with increasing difficulty on only 3 lives. And after knocking each opponent down into the manhole, you're faced with a brand new opponent who looks the same, but is a little bit tougher to beat and has also 3 lives, 3 chances to get you down into the hole. If you play for hours and you lose 1 life, you're going to go into the last stage with 2 lives, while your opponent will start off with 3. So good luck with that. During the fight itself, you get 2 attacks, a weak punch, or a slap if you will, and a heavy punch that will knock your opponent's back. You want to do the heavy punches to progress the game faster, and the fast punches only to stun the opponent fighter for a second with a slight pushback. The game also offers players the block ability, which is simply controlled by the up and down on the directional pad. So when the opponent punches you in the gut, if you are quick enough, you can render his attack useless. The last move in the arsenal is the dodge, which allows you to avoid the attack altogether, moving to the back ever so slightly. Watching experienced players get into the high levels is something amazing, almost like watching an 8-bit version of the Matrix movies unfolding between your eyes between all the dodging and punching. But don't expect this on my channel. Between grabbing up all the picnic baskets from unsuspecting campers and filling my jars with honey in the woods, I don't have time to become really good at games like these. Maybe someday. There's always retirement to look forward to. During the fight, you see random citizens and civil servants come out and pay their respects, from the angry gardener that throws his plants at both of the players. If he is successful, the player getting the short end of the flower pot will be dazed for a few seconds, allowing the other player to give them a solid bear claw to the face. The cops also make an appearance. Once in a while, you'll hear a cop car coming down the street, and both of the fighters will go to the opposite sides of the street and start whistling into the air, proving that even a badass fighter can look real sus in the 8-bit era. The cops also make an appearance when the timer runs out at the bottom of the screen and arrest the one player with the lowest amount of stamina. Sure, pick on the weak one. When the timer does run out, since you can't see the other player's stamina bar, it's really anyone's guess as to who gets arrested. I can only hope that the programming isn't pulling some shady tricks to win, but as players, we'll never know. There isn't even a way to strategize your gameplay before the timer runs out. You might be asking yourself now, how does stamina work? Each player starts off with 200. As the fight progresses, each player loses 1 stamina for each punch thrown. A plant on top of the head equals to 5 damage, or loss of 5 stamina. Getting punched by a light punch removes 1 point, and getting punched by a heavy punch equals to 9 points, way less than getting hit with a potted plant. I would imagine that getting a potted plant to your head, even from a few feet, could do a lot more damage than even the hardest punch. But I hope to never find out on my own skin. This is just my own opinion. As you progress through the levels and throw your opponent into the manhole, you will get showered by a character, which the back of the box says showers you with confetti. But to be honest, it could be a swarm of bees or somebody just dumping trash out on the street. Besides, the one person at the end of every 3rd level is the only one that seems to be happy for you. Everyone else seems to be pretty upset because you're fighting in the streets. Maybe this one person has some personal issues. Maybe that person just likes violence. Who knows? The game doesn't give much of a backstory about it, so I guess I'll have to fill it in with my imagination. In the last few weeks, the woman at the end of every 3rd level just got over her boyfriend and is now finally able to cut up all his pictures and clothes that he left at her apartment. In an explosion of relief and joy of finally being able to let go, she discards the pieces of her old life out the window, ready to be forgotten and begin the first day of her new better life. Down below, while the main protagonist of the story comes to the grip with what he's done, finds that he is uplifted with a sudden shower of what he thinks is confetti. Emboldened, continues on his mad journey with seemingly no real end, reason, or meaning behind. Just an endless row of bodies lying in the cold, dark sewers. As you progress through the story, upon each successful manhole near homicide, you'll be awarded with a trophy. You collect the trophies in increments of 5. So first, you'll collect 5 punching gloves. After 15 successful rounds, Then you'll move on to flags, and the list goes on and on. Many sources say there are 45 symbols to collect and about 138 fights, which makes little sense to me since 45 doesn't break evenly into 138, and I haven't been able to find a comprehensive list of the symbols or the breakdown of the fights. Maybe I'll save this for another video. From what I've seen, I've only seen flags, punching bags, crowns, and what seems like little golden trophies. I don't know if there's any more. I haven't been able to successfully find any. During my youth, this was probably in the top 10 of my favorite games on the NES. I spent hours playing this game, and I can't remember how far I've gotten. But at least in my youth and among my friends, we were under the assumption that we did pretty well with the game. Recently, I got to level 23, so much for muscle memory. But damn if I didn't feel a rush of nostalgia. Even though I still don't come close to beating the game or getting halfway up to the 45 symbols, I'm really shocked this wasn't a popular arcade machine back in the 80s. It's a hit in my eyes. Well, I leave you with this. Items have meaning when you give them meaning. This game was not well received when it came out, but among my memories and my friends, this was one of the better games we owned. Sometimes the popular opinion means that it might not be appreciated by many, but only needs to be appreciated by a few to matter and have an impact in this world. That's why this game always has a dust-free spot on my gaming shelf, for the memories and fun it created, for the memories and fun that I will not soon forget. Hey, thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. If you like the content, subscribe and like the video. If not, that's okay. World goes on. I'm just doing this for fun. As you can see, I don't know what I'm doing. Half the time I'm riffing. We'll see where this goes. If it goes nowhere, or if it goes somewhere, I'll be just as happy. Enjoy your day, guys.